Motsitsi. Gladys, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk about the start of the I Matter Foundation. How did it all begin?
I think it started in 2015. I was an educator myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the challenges that learners who have learning disabilities go through.
Mm-hmm.
And myself being a parent of a child with special needs, I struggled also to accept and also understand my child's condition.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that many parents are going through what I am going through, and many kids are going through the same thing that my daughter was going through, but we lack knowledge on what learning disabilities are. As a result, kids drop out of school and they get under a lot of stress. So that was the reason I started the organization. So in 2015, I started the non-profit organization. I resigned from my work and I started the NPO.
So you spoke about the challenges that are faced by parents and children with learning disabilities. Can you talk to us about them?
The problem is that in most of our communities and also in our education system, we tend to turn a blind eye on learning disabilities. Usually when we talk about disability, it's easier because when people talk about disability, they think of physical disability and it's easy for them to understand that. But there's this disability that we call learning disability, of which is a neurological disorder. So right now, majority of learners in our schools have learning disabilities. And it's something that is still taboo, that we don't talk about in our communities, that even the education system on its own is not accepting to that.
Yes.
So you find that there are many kids who are in schools and they're not supposed to be in those schools, and it leads to a lot of stress and frustration. And parents themselves don't even understand their kids. They think their kids are lazy, they don't want to go to school, they don't understand, simple math, simple English. But, if a child is dyslexic, it's beyond their control. It's the way their brain is designed. So that leads to so many conflicts also in our families. So our organization's work is to educate communities about learning disabilities and make it one of the priorities in our education system, because majority of educators are frustrated because of these conditions.
And what are the different disabilities, learning disabilities that you guys support? I know there's a myriad of them because there's also intellectual disabilities.
Yes.
So which ones do you guys support specifically?
Before I even say this, I'm excited that you're talking about this, because we actually need more platforms like this so that people can even understand. So there are so many learning disabilities, but because we are still a small organization and we don't even have enough funding, so we decided to investigate and do our own research. Which common learning disabilities do we have in our schools? So in our local schools and in most of the schools, in rural schools, we have 5 common learning disabilities that learners struggle with, of which is dyslexia. Those are the learners who struggle with reading and writing. They omit letters, they don't understand the difference between certain letters, and so they confuse those letters. And there's also dyscalculia, of which that is a learning disability that has to do with maths. Most learners who struggle with maths are dyscalculic. So you find that you can even beat up a child, but still they don't understand the maths concept. And there's also this learning disability that they call dysgraphia. I'm not going to say it in a bad way, but some of our doctors, they have a bad handwriting. You can't even read what they've written. Well, some of them are dysgraphic. But you go to a pharmacist, the pharmacist will definitely understand what is written or on the prescription. So, and then we also have information processing disorders. So those are learners. They can see something on the board, but they cannot use the information and comprehend that the information that they see on the board, they have to use it on their exercise or even to answer questions. And then there's this one common one that we call ADHD. Yes. We see that kids are restless and all of that. So as an organization, we decided to focus only on these 5 learning disabilities because we know that in our country, we do have other organizations that deal with autism and what. So instead of us duplicating the same thing, let us investigate what is not out there and focus on that. And we've been trying to do that, to raise awareness on that, and we've tried to visit a number of schools and train educators on those 5 learning disabilities.
And talk to me now about the programs that you have. I saw Man Stand Up, I saw Sukuma Girl, I saw the rehabilitation one. Talk to us about how you do that now.
Because our organization, because we are growing a bit, so we now have 3 pillars. Our organization has 3 pillars. First pillar is an educational support, whereby we mainly focus on education programs and learning disabilities and empower educators and parents. So that is the education support program. And we also have the health support program. We have a number of kids who are in our schools but who are on treatment but are not taking their treatment properly. There's not even support. So our organization does that. We support learners. We have nurses in our organization who assist learners maybe and check if they're taking their treatment properly, And then the third one is the social support. So that is where you have the Men Stand Up program. Because our understanding is that, we can talk about gender-based violence, but as long as we deal with it from adults, then we're missing the point. So our organization says, let's go to the primary schools and teach young boys, like we were taught in our age, that, umfana akayishaya intombazana, umfana akakhulumi kanje nentombazana. So that most boys are raised by mothers who are also angry themselves. So they grow up under that environment. But if there's a mentor, there's an adult in their life who can coach them. So that is the aim of the Men Stand Up program, to coach young boys from boys to being men and how to live in a society and be responsible men. And then the Sukuma Girl program came we had a number of learners who were supporting through the learning disability program, only to find that these kids they don't have learning disabilities. The problem is that the child was raped before, or the child is dealing with a lot. So we then decided that can we have a program that will focus on girls and support them with psychosocial, services. So that is what we are doing. We even girls who fall pregnant, we're trying to deal with teenage pregnancy. But the thing is, our kids have babies. So, so how do we rehabilitate them? How do we make them dream again? How do we inspire them to see that even if I'm a mother at this age, but I can still achieve my dreams? So that is what the Sukuma Girl program is all about. And we also have a charity program whereby, it's going to be the 18th of July, we'll be distributing clothes and food. So that is what our organization does, because we don't want to only focus on services, because you can never be a non-profit organization without giving back to the community and doing charity work.
Incredible stuff. I'm listening to you and I'm like, I wish we collaborated more on these type of initiatives. The big corporates, they have the money to support, you and organizations like yourselves. Are you looking into any collaborations with big companies to make sure that your work continues? It's very, very important, especially in the African community, where we blame things like learning disabilities on things like witchcraft. We blame it on, the lack of knowledge and education on learning disabilities. It's a problem, because now most parents think that, okay, someone bewitched my child because, they have a specific learning disability. And it's a very touchy subject, because now we're not putting in the effort to actually help the young ones. So how do we, how do we collaborate with you? What are some of your current needs as an organization?
I think you've just said something that put a smile on my face. After all these years, we've never had a company that would say to us, can we collaborate? And we've tried to send out proposals. We've tried to ask for help. I think one of the reasons we are based in Newcastle, so it's one of the small towns, and we don't have support. And it's so difficult for us to get that education across. We really are looking for companies who would say to us, I'm at a foundation. Can you just go out there and educate educators? Teach educators in our schools. Because I think last month we were in Port Alfred, the district in Umlazi. They just asked they requested us to do training for their SMTs. Even today I'm still receiving calls, and the principals are like, we need this information. Our educators need this information. And one of the problems is that most of the educators nowadays, they study online, and they're expected to go to school and teach kids, whereas they've never dealt with such issues. So what we want companies that will say, can we collaborate with you? Can we educate our communities? Because this will really prevent a number of learners dropping out from school, and even educators being frustrated, even the bullying that is in our schools. I think it's going to make a huge difference if people are well informed. Yes.
It's absolutely amazing how you're articulating this, and I feel that this year and the next coming year, I really hope that the organizations come together to support you, because truly you guys deserve it. Any other programs coming up that we can support? Where can we also find you, contact you, in case maybe someone is listening and they want to support you in any way?
We have because July is Mental Health Awareness Month, but our focus is on men. So we are really trying to deal with this gender-based violence thing. So we have programs in our communities whereby we will just be focusing on men and gender-based violence. So we'll be so happy if there are people who will say, no, can we support you, can we partner with you, so that we go to communities. And our main target is schools, because our young boys, are really starting this thing of gangsterism. And we've also discovered that in our schools there's a lot of child pornography, because kids are exposed to Wi-Fi and they are not informed on how to use them properly. So that is our main aim, to go out there and educate communities. And on the 18th of July, we'll be so excited because we have a drive whereby we've identified one of the informal settlements, and we're going to go there and just spend time with the community, donate clothes, and have a nice meal with them, so that people can know that there are people out there who care. And it will be so exciting to have companies who will say, can we go back with you to the communities to show them that as much as they support us, but we do care as well. Yes.
We've got a question from our Twitter. P. Sibule says, there's an untold story, men suffering in silence from mental depression. Is our guest aware of this growing crisis, and how are they helping to spread the message?
There is an outcry a lot. Many men are going through mental distress. Last month, we were working with one of the mines, and they are retrenching. So fortunately for us, they've asked us to give them counseling services. So you feel that most men are broken, and it's so sad to say that some women contribute to that. So we do help men. We offer counseling services as an organization. We do have dialogues for men, whereby men can have a platform and they can pour out. They can discuss things. They can share their frustration in an environment whereby they won't be judged, because that most of the time men are judged. Once a man says, I'm being abused, I'm being violated, that we laugh at them. But we're trying to create this environment whereby men can just say, it's okay for us to cry because it's too much. Men are unemployed and they're expected to perform miracles. So it's not easy for them. So that is why we have this program as Men Stand Up, because we go to communities and say, as cool men, my daughter, let's deal with issues. Instead of us coming and say, a man has done this, what did we do before that to support that man who was going through that difficult time? So yes, our organization does a lot in terms of that.
Amazing stuff. Gladys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope it's not the last time that we engage. I look forward to seeing what your organization is going to do. And please don't be a stranger to Channel Africa. We love putting, companies like yours and organizations like yours in the forefront because you're building Africa through mental awareness. So thank you for your time, and all the best with the collaborations and the future projects.
Thank you so much. You requested our contact numbers.
Yes, I did.
Can I give you our office number?
Please do.
034
034
008
008
5040
5040.
Our cell number 071
071
699
699
552.
555 amazing stuff. We're going to post that on our social media as well for those who did not catch it. So I will make sure of that. Gladys, thank you for your time. Have an absolutely blessed Sunday.
Thank you so much. Same to you. Bye.
Thank you. That was Gladies Motsitsi, who is the CEO of the I Matter Foundation. In case you woke up today wondering if you do matter, my loves. 7:43 Central African Time. Let's enjoy some music.
Africa Update.